Beulah, North Dakota. They are having the Economic Development Association Conference for the great state of North Dakota. We want to do our Williston Economic Development update. So we've got the Executive Director of the Williston Economic Development Corp, Shawn Wenko, join us. And Shawn, before I introduce you, I just want to pause for a moment and ask you, can you hear that?
I think so. Can you hear me okay? Are we good this time?
No, I can hear you. What I'm asking you is, hey, I can hear it. Now that we've got this 18-cent discount, I mean, all the people are just flooding to the Bakken. They're going to start pumping oil now, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the Wall Street investment is coming. I think it's coming tomorrow.
I gave them the exact certainty that they needed to deploy those $50 million, $100 million investments, that 3-month holiday of an 18-cent gas tax. If we have time, we may touch on that later. So if you don't mind, I think it's really awesome what you're doing. I am not really familiar with this conference. If you want to share with the great people of North Dakota what this conference is about, I'm assuming there's a lot of people in your position that are also in Beulah here. And what are the hot topics of conversation? What are the things that are coming up and being talked about?
Yeah, so the Economic Development Association in North Dakota, it's an association made up of developers from across the state, as well as businesses and private industry and businesses that are like-minded towards the best practices of economic development. One of the main things we do with EDND is our lobbying efforts on the state level. Lobbying for, again, we go back to best practices of economic development. We do two conferences a year, this one being our summer conference. I tell you what, being in Beulah, it has been tremendously exciting because we kicked off, the first thing we started talking about was energy. And the energy in the room, no pun intended, was just off the charts because we had Mike Hopkins, the CEO of Bakken Energy, talking about the hydrogen hub that they're building out here, or they're purchasing the assets from the Synfuels plant out here in Beulah. Lynn Helms talked a bit. We had Justin Kringstead with the Pipeline Authority talking, and we just finished up with Lieutenant Governor was talking as well. But for us in Williston, we just get so excited because we're talking about natural gas. And I'll tell you what, if there's one thing we have a lot of out there, it's natural gas.
So first off, I would have loved to have been there to hear these speakers. The greatest takeaway, or the most important thing you think our audience should know out of those three speakers is what?
Well, I mean, again, the greatest takeaway is that the future of energy, North Dakota can play a major role and be a major player in energy independence. So we're not talking, again, I look back at what we're doing in our backyard in Western North Dakota. We're not just talking oil now, we're talking about value added. So we're taking that natural gas and there's a lot of different things that we can do to add value to that natural gas. And it's going to be very important when we look into the future and where we go with energy and energy independence for the most part.
But how do you, again, Shawn Wenko join us with Williston Economic Development Corps. How do you do that when you've got this administration that says, hey, we want to get rid of fossil fuels?
Well, you just keep pushing, you keep being vocal on it. I think the one thing that I took away of a positive side of that is there isn't, they're really about every speaker today. They talked about, they really felt we were going to see some changes here and, come November on the administrative side of things to where we're going to get back to where we can be more of a major player when we talk about industry. So the energy industry. So again, it's going to take some time, but you look at what's going on out there. It's just a matter of time before we see some changes.
So I got to presume, I mean, the feds have raised the rates that may have a little bit of an impact on unemployment rates across the country. We've got a counter-cyclical economy here in North Dakota, so that may lead to having access to a few more people to come back to North Dakota to work. But I've got to presume one of the big topics of conversations or one of the big issues is workforce development. So you've got all these business and economic development minds in a room. What kind of solutions are you guys coming up with to solve this issue?
So there was an actual workforce development roundtable that we had yesterday at the conference, and a lot of different things were thrown out. One, from taking a look at, the state has what's called an automation tax credit that helps primary sector manufacturing. If they automate, there's a tax credit program. How do we take that? Can we utilize that to maybe automate a little bit more with some of the positions that we're short of? Because what the different discussion today is, you're not necessarily taking away a job. You're trying to fill something where there's just not a person to fill that job, regardless if you attract how many people you attract to the state. I mean, we just got such an abundance of jobs here. It's going to be a challenge. So we talked a bit about, on a policy side of things, what could we change? We talked from Some like, let's say, OSHA safety standards. We talked about maybe trying to get, how do we get some of our high school kids more involved in the tech and trade areas, and what does that look like? I mean, how soon can we get them to get hands-on experience, and what do we need to do to address that? We've talked about how do we market to try to bring more people back to North Dakota that maybe moved away, they're born and raised here. How do we attract that workforce and sector? And then again, overall, just the state itself, we had that discussion of how do we make the state attractive to drive more people to want to live here and fill the jobs that we have open.
So are we just going to get like our own personal sun and just sort of let that go from December through April? I do want to hit on something I think really important as you talk about this workforce issue. And you and I have talked about this offline, that I think many people don't know about. And if they did, they'd be like, ooh, that's amazing. Tell me what's happening here for the people of North Dakota and Williston State College.
So we talked with Williston State College, and I assume we're talking about the free tuition that you can go for 2 years. State College free, which your college expenses are covered. I believe that's expanded up to a 53 county region surrounding Williston State College. So if you are a graduate of one of those 53 counties, you can attend Williston State College for free. And you go to their website, they've got all the information on it. But again, it just goes back to, you look at what an opportunity. If you don't really know what you want to do, go to Williston State College, get your generals out of the way. I mean, it's going to be paid for. And, then you're able to transfer it off to another college and finish up.
And then you call up Shawn and go, hey, Shawn, I've got kind of an entrepreneurial mind. Can you help me start a business in town? Yes?
Absolutely. We do. We'll work with them. We help with low interest loans, work with the financial institutions, do business plans, and hopefully get another business started in Williston.
I mean, I can tell you're kind of like, yeah, Chris, go ahead. But really, I mean, if I'm a parent right now, Shawn, knowing that I can go to Williston State College basically free for a couple of years and then connect with someone like you that's got a bunch of tools and assets and connections in a town and start a business, holy man, I just think that's an incredible opportunity. So I want to give you a chance to plug about if people want to reach out to you and just have a conversation, maybe talk to you about getting some more business started in Williston. How can they go about doing that?
Yeah. So again, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity when we talk about Williston, from entry-level positions all the way up to professional positions. And then, from business startups and small business, we really need just about everything, because again, we took a city that was 12,000 people, and in a matter of, let's say, 10 years, we were sitting at 31,000. So a lot of things that make a city are still developing, and we're still seeing a lot of need for there. If somebody has an idea, they can meet with us and give us a call at our office, or go to our website, willistondevelopment.com. First thing we do, we connect them with the Small Business Development Center. We really get a feel for what they have for a business idea, run some numbers, decide if we think it may be feasible, and then from there we start to build business plans, connect them with the financial institutions locally in the town, and hopefully we see a new business come to town.
So is it fair for me to make an analogy? You're sort of like an entrepreneurial coach. I mean, I sit down with you, you're going to coach me up on my numbers, my plan, my marketing. Is that a fair analogy?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing.
Wow.
We want to see someone be successful. And, we always look at with economic development, do we have business incentives that we can do to help businesses get started? Absolutely. But a lot of times you don't really need that. What you need is kind of somebody to walk you through, a simple business plan, or, we have the resources and, our national programs that we have, that we can run numbers of a business, get a very good idea of what it normally does for sales in similar cities. And we can really get very close to what we think that would look like if it was to come to Williston. So again, at the end of the day, it's not all just incentives. It's this business consulting side that we help, because we want to see success if somebody starts a business.
I want everybody to know I've known Shawn now for quite some time, as he's been the executive director of the Williston Economic Development. Huge heart. Please, if you've got even just an iota of an idea, going, look, I think I want to do something in your community. I want to solve problems. I want to help. Please give him a call. Just check out on Google Williston Economic Development. Shawn, enjoy Beulah. Great stuff. Really, really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right. Thanks, Chris.